Welcome to Falls Count Anywhere, where the wrestling ring meets the heart. Hosted by the gentleman Jody Powell, join us as we dive into the latest pro wrestling news and rumors, from the electrifying world of WWE to the inspiring stories of wrestling for Christ. This is your all-access pass to the action, the faith, and the hope. This is Falls Count Anywhere.
Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to Falls Count Anywhere. I'm your host, the gentleman Jody Powell. With me, as always, the mad scientist, Mike Buchanan. And normally, he would be deep in the laboratory, but Mike, we found out last week you were government funded, and the government still shut down. Are you in the lab, man?
I am in the lab as a favor to my partner in crime.
Oh, is that me?
Yeah, my partner in crime. And I know he's not the only one, so I don't want to put him on the spot too much. But before we came on, Jody, we were talking about all these automatic things that our car will do for us.
Yeah.
Turn out the lights, beep if you leave your keys in the car. But nothing, at least on the passenger and driver side, there's nothing to automatically close your door.
Oh, yes, I need it, as you well know, my friend. Before we started the show tonight, I got a frantic message from the Duchess saying, "Why is your car door open outside?" Because Dodo Bird forgot to close the door.
Let yourself a Dodo Bird.
That's awesome. So how does this door closer, I mean, how's it work? It's not going to close it on me, is it? Not going to get my hand in it?
It'll vary. It'll vary depending on the location. So, like for a driver, you're going to have your hands off the wheel, your grips off the pedal, your butt out of the seat, and be out the door by about 4 or 5 feet before it'll close. Okay. To try and cut that down. On the passengers, it's a little bit faster because they don't have to take their hands off the wheel or anything of that nature.
Yeah. Okay. I'm digging that, man. Anything that can be done for me automatically that I don't have to do myself, I'm all for that. So hook me up with that. I'll bring the old gentleman Jeep over to the West Coast and let you install that ASAP, my friend.
Sounds like a plan.
Speaking of things that happen sooner rather than later, let's talk a little WWE and how Raw ended last week. I'm starting to understand the reasons, Mike. And you know, when it happened, when we saw the spear from Braun Breaker on Seth Rollins right as Raw was going off the air, you sent me a message and you said, "Hey, are you watching this?" And for the first time, Mike, for the first time in a long time, I had really positive feelings about whoever is behind the creative direction of the WWE. I mean, we called this, did we not? I believe we did last week. We called this happening, or that it needed to happen. And I still believe that it needed to happen. And I was glad to see it happen. But as time has progressed, we have seen and heard reports that Seth Rollins and Crown Jewel in his match with Cody Rhodes hurt his shoulder. He was seen walking around Perth in a sling. And so it wasn't because WWE Creative realized that the vision was a hodgepodge of talent that didn't make any sense being thrown together. It was because they were trying to cover up a potential injury that, quite frankly, could leave Seth Rollins on the shelf. They're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with the World Heavyweight Championship as well, because he is supposed to take on CM Punk at Saturday night's main event after CM Punk won that number one contenders match. So I don't know if Rollins is completely out. They're keeping it hush-hush. Everybody's wondering because you remember the knee injury.
Oh, yeah.
Allegedly hurt his knee, right? Even fooled his kid's kindergarten teacher, apparently, only to come back and cash in and win the World Heavyweight title. So,
hey, Jody, when is Saturday night's main event?
Oh, man, that is a good question. Saturday night's main event is coming up. Let's see when the next one is. I'm going to have to look that up, actually. Because
the thought just hit me. I apologize.
No. It's a good question because we're going to see CM Punk. It's December 13th.
Oh, December 13th.
In Washington, D.C. Well, no, wait a minute. Let's just be sure that's the actual latest.
Oh, is that the one with Cena's final match?
It is. It is Cena's final match on December 13th. Believe that's the next one, though. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, looks like that'll be the next one. It's so hard to find. It's so hard to navigate WWE's website. I'm not a fan of that at all. But yeah, Saturday night, December 13th, Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C. Is what I'm seeing here. I don't know that there is one in November.
Probably not because of Survivor Series.
Yeah, and that's going to be an interesting one too, because I think what we're going to get is some form of Roman Reigns and maybe the Usos, maybe not after what we saw in Perth. We're going to see Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Now, let's talk a little bit about some of this fantasy booking that's going on. Everybody's a booker. Everybody's a pencil. So let's see what some of the reaction has been. Now, what I've seen, people are actually thinking and predicting that there will be a new leader of the Vision, and that being Brock Lesnar, based on Lesnar's conversation with Heyman about how those two need to talk. And then people are taking it a little further to say it will be Bronson and Braun Strowman taking on the Shield, with a returning Seth Rollins forming a team with Roman Reigns, and the dream booking of having Dean Ambrose back. I don't see it. I don't see it, buddy. I don't think that's happening.
Are you saying that they're also including the possibility or probability that Braun Strowman is coming back, or did you mean
did I say Braun Strowman? I meant Braun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not trying to correct that, but fantasy booking does all sorts of things.
Yeah, no, Braun Strowman's not forming a team with Paul Heyman. Have you seen the Twitter war between those two? I mean, it got a little nasty between Braun Strowman and Paul Heyman. So I doubt Braun Strowman's going to be a Paul Heyman guy. I meant Braun Breaker, not Braun.
It's okay.
Too many Brauns.
Well, I always thought that was a great idea back in the day before that cut Strowman was Braun, Bronson, and Breaker.
Yeah, I think that would be a great use of Braun Strowman, because WWE had no idea how to use him when he was there and completely fumbled that. But I don't. Here's why I don't think we're going to see Brock Lesnar. And I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I don't think Brock Lesnar is stepping in to be the leader of this group because of the way the group broke up. They broke up because, of course, Seth Rollins, early on in the evening kind of set it up with, I don't need these guys. I don't need Bronson Reed. I don't need Braun Breaker. I don't need Paul Heyman. I do things myself. And, you don't break up a faction if you're Braun Breaker or you're Bronson Reed. You don't break up this faction only to invite someone else to come in and be the main man in charge, right?
Yeah.
So for me right now, either Breaker and Reed need to form a tag team. It just needs to be the two of them, led by Paul Heyman. I think that would be fantastic. We talked before about Paul Heyman in this group. Just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Brock Lesnar needed Paul Heyman. He couldn't get two words out on a mic. He needed Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns needed Paul Heyman. If you don't believe me, go back to the Cena Reigns verbal spat in the ring. Cena ate his lunch, threw it up, and handed it back to him. That's how bad he chewed him apart in that promo. And so Roman Reigns needed Paul. Seth Rollins did not need Paul Heyman. Seth Rollins is a master on the mic. That's where his strength is. I think Seth Rollins is one of the most complete wrestlers we've seen in quite a while.
Here's the thought for you.
All right, hit me with it.
I understand that our friends down under were having a bit of a chant after the matches. That's British, not Australian. Oi. Anyway, they want Edge.
I don't think Edge is coming back, but go ahead.
What if Edge is playing everybody, same way that Seth did earlier?
Mm-hmm.
He comes back and he has somebody else. I don't know who that other person is. I'll be honest with you. But he comes back not as a wrestler, but as a manager of this new guy who can team with Reed, bring up Breakker for what he's supposed to be there for, which is to win the World Heavyweight title. That's my pencil and eraser on it.
Okay, so we're talking about a tag team with Reed and someone with Edge as their manager, and then Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman splitting off. No,
Breakker is staying with Reed. Breakker and Reed would stay, but Edge would come in and say, "Hey, dudes, if I get Bronson Reed and John Smith, and we're going to be the tag titles. Breakker, you're still the face of the company. You still headline a jillion WrestleManias.
New faction. That'll free up Paul Heyman to become the advocate once again for Brock Lesnar if they're insistent upon Brock Lesnar being part of the show. I still have thoughts and opinions on that, and they're not all positive for a Brock Lesnar return. It's going to be interesting too, because Roman Reigns, the end of his match with Bronson Reed, basically telling the Usos to stay out of his way. And once again, going back to where are we going with this, which is a question we seem to be asking a lot with WWE Creative, because at first it looked like it was Roman Reigns and Jay, Roman kind of grooming Jay to become the heir apparent to the tribal chief title, leaving Jimmy on the outs. Well, now Jay spears Roman by accident. Roman tells both of them to leave him alone. So what are we doing? Where are we going with this? None of this is like clicking. They're not building week to week on ideas, and you're abandoning them very quickly. Reports are that the breakup of the Vision wasn't supposed to happen until like the road to WrestleMania. Now, if Seth's injured, that sped that up, and that's fine. But it just this fly by the seat of your pants booking that seems to be happening with WWE Creative lately it's not making any sense. We talked about it last week, how this Australian street fight should have been an ambulance or a stretcher match because they built it and then they just dropped it. When they built Jey Uso to be this, heir apparent, and now they've just dropped it again. So I don't understand. I don't know what's going on. Week to week, you can't count on what you saw last week building on it this week. And so it'll be interesting tonight to see what happens with Monday Night Raw with the WWE. I'll tell you what else was interesting, Mike. The third show of Ephesians Pro Wrestling right here on Abundant Television that happened just this past Saturday, Saturday Night Battleground. We're going to talk about it right after these messages. Hello, wrestling fans. The gentleman Jody Powell here, and you may be wondering, where in the world did WFC go? Right here. We're on YouTube, our very own channel at Wrestling for Christ WFC. I want you to open your YouTube app. I want you to click on the search function. Type in Wrestling for Christ WFC, all one word, and boom, that's exactly what you'll see. Smash that subscribe button so you'll be notified when new episodes of Saturday Night Praise and Power Hour are loaded up to YouTube. Also coming soon are going to be exclusive interviews, promos. I might even cut a promo myself. Talk about how Dilly Dollar swings a chair like a girl. All this and more coming up, fans, right here on our YouTube channel. Check it out. Wrestling for Christ, WFC, every episode ever made of Saturday Night Praise and Power Hour, right there at your fingertips. Check it out. Welcome back, fans, to Falls Count Anywhere. And I tell you what, Mike, Ephesians Pro Wrestling, Saturday Night Battleground, right here on Abundant TV, every Saturday night at 6 p.m. They are bringing it. And this week was the second episode of their actual wrestling card. And I finally got to see him. Now, I enjoyed a couple of weeks ago, I enjoyed seeing Bam Bam Malone. Great match. I thought that the Warhawk, Kurt Castle, winning the Texas Championship was incredible. And Kurt Castle's impressive. But I've been waiting for Retro Dewey Declan. And I got to see Retro this past Saturday night on Saturday Night Battleground Ephesians Pro Wrestling. Retro Dewey Declan, a former champion, former Texas champion, took on Dustin the Mogul Bogle. And if you want to understand the mogul, think back to some of the great vignettes of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. The mogul came out with a basketball, Mike. Said he'd give $500 to anyone who could dribble it 10 times in a row.
No, he didn't.
He absolutely did. And came out, a sweet little girl got up, volunteered, thinking she was going to get $500. And she's bouncing that ball. And at bounce number 8, the mogul just knocks it out of her hand. Oh, poor kid, you lose. You couldn't do it. The mogul. The mogul actually picked up the victory, albeit by a low blow after the ref bump, but the ref was getting up. He got a low blow in on Dewey Declan, and then hit him with a choke slam. So it was actually Dustin the Mogul Bogle picking up the win over my man Retro Dewey Declan. I identify with Dewey just because like he comes out in a blue jean jacket and he's got the bandanas and. He's kind of my Marty McFly. He's got the 80s. He's got the 80s thing going on. That's my jam right there.
It sounds like he's a dude you could love, but I'm not sure.
He is very much a dude you can love, but he is leaps and bounds beyond the physical shape of who you're thinking of. He can outperform that individual very well, in my humble opinion. We also saw Aaron Eagle, the hero of the people, Aaron Eagle, who happened to have a quick video of him doing some kind of deal with Dustin the Mogul Bogle. And Onyx got back there. Their backstage interviewers, Onyx was back there interviewing him, trying to get the scoop. And Aaron Eagle said, don't worry about it. So a little shady business deal going on. But Aaron Eagle was able to knock off Langley. That was a match that was set up 2 weeks ago. And but Langley was distracted by our new Texas champion, the Warhawk Kirk Castle. Came out, distracted Langley, and Aaron Eagle able to pick up the win there. And then in the main event, we saw the world heavyweight champion, Briston Shaw, taking on former world heavyweight champion, APOC. And APOC was busted open. We had color on Abundant TV. Wow. Crimson Mask. It was fantastic. Briston Shaw, though, hitting APOC with the world heavyweight title when the referee was down and busting him wide open. And APOC was not happy about it, but this is the second time APOC has had an opportunity at the world heavyweight title. And Mr. Kyle told him, listen, you got to get to the back of the line. You've had your chance. However, if APOC can earn his way back up, we're going to see Briston Shaw, APOC in a cage. That's what APOC wants. So we may get a cage match in the near distant future of Ephesians Pro Wrestling Saturday Night Battleground. Going to be an incredible show. You're going to want to tune in this coming Saturday night, fans. Ephesians Pro Wrestling. And check them out on Facebook as well. You can look them up on Ephesians Pro Wrestling on Facebook. Follow along. A lot of vignettes, a lot of good interviews. And, of course, Mike, something I really enjoy that EPW does. At the end of every show, someone from the organization brings a testimony. Fantastic job so far by Mr. Kyle and everyone at EPW. And I'm going to tell you what, Onyx, great backstage interviewer. I'm going to do my best to see if she's going to be available to maybe hit up some Falls Count Anywhere. We'll try to get Onyx on, as well as Anna Lynn, who is their fantastic ring announcer and head of your favorite division, the EPW Women's Division. And that's coming as well. So stay tuned for that, fans. Another thing you need to stay tuned for, right after the break, our favorite part of this show, Finding Tomorrow. We'll be right back.
viewers to, as we commonly say, almost always say, our favorite part of the program, Finding Tomorrow. And Jody, we thought we would do something a little bit different than what we've done in the year or so that we've been on the air. What we mean by that, folks, is animals matter to people. Pets become loved ones. And so whenever an animal is no longer with us, it can have quite an impact. And real quick, I'm just going to flip over to Proverbs 12:10. Oh, my hands in the Bible. Anyhow, Proverbs 12:10 says, "A righteous man cares for the needs of his animal, but the kindest acts of the wicked are cruel." So it's in that kindness where we become attached to our animals. And so whenever we have one that is no longer with us, it can last for a while. What are your thoughts, Jody?
Yeah, that grief, Mike, is real. And it's something I really am glad to talk about, because we're experiencing that ourselves. In my household, we lost a very dear member of the family, and that's our puppy Kojak. Kojak was 14 years old. He was far from a puppy. One of the best labs that you could have, sweetest dog, and we had him since he was 6 weeks old. And we've had dogs. The Duchess and I have had dogs since the day we were married. We got our first, Mike. We bought our first dog on our honeymoon.
Oh, come on.
No, I'm serious. We brought her home from the honeymoon, man. Listen, when we got married, we were broker than broke. So, we were, being from South Carolina, we were just short drive up to Gatlinburg. That's where we spent our honeymoon, man. And long about latter part of the week, it's like, hey, you want to go to the pet shop? Yeah, let's go play. Let's go see what they got. And they had this beautiful Alaskan Malamute puppy, and we brought her home. She was our puppy for 12 years. We got Kojak as she was failing in health, and Kojak was 6 weeks old, and she hated Kojak. That little puppy tortured that old dog. And we also adopted an older lab during Kojak's life, Stella, and when she was 8 years old, she came to live with us for about 4 or 5 years before she passed. But the grief process for that, Mike, is very real for a lot of people. Now, there are some people who don't find that attachment with their animals. They don't find that attachment with their pets. They kind of keep that separation, and that's fine. There's nothing that says that having that kind of relationship with your pet is a requirement or something. But for people that do, when those pets are gone, that grief is very painful and can cause, quite frankly, loneliness, can cause situations where we're searching for ways to kind of cope with things. Animals, there's a reason that animals become support animals and emotional support animals. And some people take it a little far. They put a vest on a dog because they want to carry it into the Walmart. But the support that animals provide is real. And God gave us these companions. God gave us animals for a lot of reasons. I believe God gave us animals to work for us, to help us work. I believe God gave us animals for meals. And I know that there are probably plenty of vegans and vegetarians that don't want to hear that. But it's there. And if that's you, that's fine. That's your choice. You don't want to eat meat. Totally fine. I'm chowing down on a good ribeye steak myself. And then, I think I believe that God gave us animals for companionship as well.
Absolutely. If you think about it, this is just, we all know that I am Facebook's favorite Canadian Japanese redneck, soon to be Abundant TVs. But be that as it may, here's the thing, Jody. When God created humanity, He created man. And then having all the other animals there, God created woman.
Mm-hmm.
No, your animals should not replace your spouse.
Nope.
Period. Ever. Should not replace your children. Period. Ever. However, what I'm saying is that the Lord understood, especially in that paradise before the fall, man could commune and take joy from animals.
Yeah. Yeah. Not only before the fall, but after the restoration. And we see that. We see that in prophecy. We hear how the lion will lie with the lamb, and even the return of Jesus Christ. How does he return? Is he returning in a DeLorean from the future? No. I had to get another 80s reference in there. No, he's riding a horse. There are animals in heaven. There are animals in the new heaven and the new earth, the new Jerusalem, because the Bible says there are. Now, the question becomes, well, when I get to the pearly gates, am I going to see little Fluffy the cat? Am I going to see the Spot the dog? Listen, I don't know. I don't. I would like to believe that we would. But what I do know is that there are going to be animals there. The Bible's very clear on that. And so even if my little buddy Kojak is not waiting on me over this rainbow bridge, which, is a very sweet gesture, is not biblical. I'm not saying that the rainbow bridge is in the Bible. I'm not saying that. But it is something that, if you think about it, it is something that the kindness of God would restore. Will he? I don't know. I can't wait to find out. Can't wait to see. But the point is that, for us who have lost those loved ones, who have lost pets, it's really important for us to grieve them the same way we would grieve the loss of a loved one or our friend, because for our mental health and for our awareness and for our for the health that we have just facing this world, we have to go through that grieving process. And so if you're not one of the people that love your pets so much like they're almost children, that's fine. But recognize and be empathetic with those that are.
Speaking of empathetic, and that might be close to how we wrap this up today, Jody. We think about how concerned we are about animals, and how much they mean to us. But Jesus, right after he sends out the 12 apostles to do their first, for lack of a better phrase, missionary / evangelistic work, later on that same chapter, Matthew 10:29, he says, 28 and 29, do not be afraid of those who kill the body but cannot kill the soul. Rather be afraid of the one who can destroy both soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground apart from the will of your Father. And even the very hairs of your head are all numbered. So don't be afraid. You are worth more than many sparrows.
Yeah.
So God watches the sparrows. God watches I'm not sure he watches chihuahuas, but he watches the animals, and more importantly, he watches you. And that's the thing for tomorrow, guys. No matter what you're going through.
Yeah, that's so true. It's right, Mike. I mean, God has his eye on the sparrow. God has his eye on each and every one of us, knows the number of hairs on our head, knows how that number is subtracting.
Yeah. Yep.
And, when we do face those times when we lose those precious little furry loved ones, I truly believe that God is with us in our weeping, and God is there to comfort us as we mourn the loss of our furry friends. So don't allow yourself to feel shame in that. Instead, lean into the comfort and loving arms of the Lord, and it will be something of a really incredible experience to feel how God sees you through your pain and suffering. So,
speaking of other incredible experiences, Jody, what do we have coming up after us?
An incredible experience with Jeff Dixon and Chris Whaley, The Masked Saint, right here, The Clash on Abundant TV. Stay tuned.